Well, hello, Bill.
Hey, Don, how you doing today?
Doing good. And here we are once again at the Old Salty Store, the Old Salty Store Front Porch Podcast. And the amazing thing is we're still here, Bill.
We're still here, absolutely. How many weeks in a row it's been?
5 or 6, I guess.
Yeah, I think it's been fun, too. Enjoyed talking about it at the end of the day on Saturdays.
Well, look here who stopped by. Mr. Buster Talent.
Hello, Bill. Hello, Don. How are y'all gentlemen doing today?
We're doing fine.
He calls us
Buster.
gentlemen. Did you catch that?
Yeah, there's a
I'm
few years
impressed. It
difference.
makes me feel I got to sit a little taller and talk a little clearer.
My mom tried to teach me some manners when I was younger.
We're glad you stopped by, Buster. Glad you're here.
Thank y'all for having me.
Well, today's been a beautiful day, even though we thought we would get rain again. We didn't.
The temperature's been marvelous, a nice breeze, and the sun's trying to peek out now a little bit. It's been a little bit hazy, but it's been beautiful today. You're right.
Yeah.
Y'all have had a great crowd up here despite the overcast.
We have had an amazing day. Before 12 o'clock, well, at least before 1 o'clock, we had people from Austria. We had a large group from Austria. 5 or 6 men, businessmen. We had some ladies from Australia, from Germany, from France, and the Philippines. And that was at least before the noon hour was over. They're all here today, and they find this little store. And then early we had some people from Maine. We had people from yesterday. We had people from all over the Midwest. We had Indiana, Missouri, Louisiana, Oklahoma. Actually, I had one person from Oklahoma yesterday. But today it's been all over the Southeast, as well as those people from Europe. So it's been quite a fascinating day.
Speaking of Germans, there's a whole lot of German cars around town this weekend.
Yes.
The SOWO show is here, and there's Volkswagens and other German cars running around all over the
I've seen
place.
so many Volkswagens and Saabs and Audis and stuff up here this weekend, and they sure like to have a good time, to say the least.
I was talking to one guy, and I said, well, do y'all go up in the mountains and ride the roads? And he said, yeah, but we come from Tennessee, and our roads are a lot tighter and harder to drive that we drive every day. So this is kid stuff.
Well, don't we have a harmonica festival too?
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think one of the young boys that comes in, he bought him a harmonica here at the store today because he was telling me about the harmonica festival that was in town, and I think one of the ladies works at the store. She was telling me yesterday about some sort of festival, which I don't know anything about it, but I thought it was kind of cool that because you never know what's going to go on up here in the Salty area here. It's fascinating to me every moment.
Well, the reason why I'm here today, I've listened to y'all's past few podcasts, and I've got a question, Bill. I think you've got an answer.
I'll create one if I don't.
I like that. Can you please explain to me what a Nickelodeon is? Because in my young millennial mind, first thing I think of when I hear the word Nickelodeon is cartoons, the Rugrats, Tommy Pickles, Lumpy Head.
Okay.
That is not the Nickelodeon that y'all have here at the Salty store.
However, that's where the network got its name, from a machine similar to this, which is a multiplicity of instruments or entertainment in one package, a machine.
Now, how
called
does
the Nickelodeon?
Now, how in the early 20th century were they able to figure out how to make this sort of machine, to make all these
People
different?
smarter than me. But the idea from the network is that it was a multiplicity of a lot of happy entertainment in one network. Well, this machine has a piano, a marimba, and a mandolin all in one. It operates on a roll. Everybody's seen a player piano.
Yes.
It's pneumatically run, and it through vacuum and air pumping through a line, recognizing dots on those.
Is there
slots.
any electricity involved?
Certainly, yeah. It's operated by electricity. Now, this one probably was electric to begin with, even though it was 1922 when it was built. Which is, of course, they had electricity then. But some of the earliest ones had to be cranked. Had a big spring, just like the old Victrolas that had a big spring in it, and you crank it up on the side. Of course, you don't know what a Victrola is probably, but it was an old record player, okay, early record player. But
I'm a simpleton.
But anyway, but this was a Nickelodeon, and you drop the nickel in, and there's an old song, put another nickel in the Nickelodeon. Of course, now it's been upgraded, so it's put another quarter in the quarter-olean. But anyway, but that song was, it's an old song, but I was listening to a 50s list of songs that were popular in the 50s, and that Nickelodeon song was popular then. But it goes back, I'm sure, much older. I don't know the research on that song. But the point is, there was these machines that people put a nickel in, and they'd find this machine, and they hear this music, and they dance to it. It'd be like a jukebox, which jukeboxes don't even exist now. It's all podcasts or Pandoras or whatever they are now, but on the computers. But you'd find them in saloons, you'd find them in hotel lobbies, old stores like this. Now, this particular Nickelodeon has been in the store about 80 years. I don't remember the names of the people. Don may remember the name of the folks that they got it from. But one day last fall, an older lady came in and she says, they got this Nickelodeon from my husband's family, grandparents. And he was out in the car, so she brought the old man in. He was in on a cane, kind of came in. And he explained to me, and he was older than I am, and so that means he was quite a bit older than me. So he was in his mid to late 80s. Wow. And so he was 8 or 10 years older than me anyway. And he told me that they got it from his grandparents, and when he was a little boy. So if he was a little boy, and he's well in his 80s now, so that means it's about 80 years that it's been in the store. I don't know if they bought it from him or they gave it to him. I don't know anything about that. And there may be somebody that knows, but I don't. But I don't remember their names. But
Nickelodeon's only had about a 10-year lifespan. They started in the early 20s. By the early 30s, they had been replaced with, I guess radio maybe.
Right. Well, and the more elaborate new jukeboxes, which had put the records in the machine. Yeah.
Well, I've got to say, I was confused as to what it was, and then I got a chance to see it live in person today. And the second you popped the quarter in there and that thing started playing, it had a crowd around it.
Oh yeah. People, and again, I've got lots of stories about it, and I probably told this story before.
The kids were most fascinated.
Children loved to dance to it and sing to it, and then my favorite story of many is I had a group of older ladies come in here, and I'm talking about shufflers. I mean, barely, just barely moving, just could walk, but that was about it. Probably had trouble getting up the stairs, and I say that with all great respect. But the funny thing is that the minute I turned that thing on, these precious old gals all of a sudden were dancing like crazy, arm in arm, kicking legs in the air, twirling around in circles, and
felt like they were back at the sock hop.
Well, that's just it. It was like a sock hop or a wild sorority party. But the sad thing about it, when the music quit, they became old gals again. And so I say this all the time. C.S. Lewis is quoted as saying is that man doesn't have a soul, man is a soul, he has a body. And so they were letting their bodies, the young soul that's inside of them was trying to come out that day, but as soon as they started to think about it, they let their body take over again. But anyway, the point is that the music brought the joy out in these gals, and it was really neat. And we see it all the time.
So not only is it a music machine, it's a time machine as well. Take you back to a certain spot.
Yeah, exactly right. It's a joy. And we play it. Goodness, we played it enough to wear it out in the last year. And it gets, of course, I get 102. I'll be a cranky when occasionally it gets a little cranky. And we have to work on it a little bit. But
now, how many songs can it hold? How many songs is it capable of playing?
There's 10 on a reel, right? I think there's no more than 10 on a reel, right, Don?
There are 10, and there are rolls available today, but they're only singles. And so as much as we play the thing, we either have to change it every song, or you just have to play the same song over and over, which for us would get a little monotonous by the end of the day. But I was talking to a company that still makes a limited number of the rolls, because what happens is the paper is 100 years old and it's brittle, and once it starts cracking and tearing, then it sends the wrong signals to the machine, and it just trips it up. So we need newer ones, but obviously there's not a lot of Nickelodeons around today. So
Like you said, they were only around for about 10 years.
I
not a
think
real-
this company was what, 27 to 20 or 22 to 27, something like that.
Yeah.
It was built in Rockford, Illinois, right out of Chicago.
But so I was talking to the company that is making new ones, and they said that they only do the singles because it takes a lot of time on the machine that punches or perforates the paper to give the instruction to the Nickelodeon, and that it's not really exact. So if you're doing a 10-song roll, that takes hours for it to produce, and it's not being imperfect. If you have a flaw in it, then it flaws the whole roll. So you have to start over. So they do single songs so that they can check them before they waste a whole lot of paper and a whole lot of time for the machine. So I don't know. We this week I've contacted some gentleman that is head of the National Association of Player Pianos, and they're out there, but it's just really hard to find. And so we're keeping our eyes out. If anybody knows of their type A piano rolls that are in good shape and good condition, we'd love to talk to you about them.
Yeah. Well, I just thought just seeing it in person, it was so fascinating. Just human ingenuity to figure out with pneumatic air tubes and a little bit of electricity and a big giant roll of paper with holes in it, and this thing spits out marvelous music.
We in the 21st century, and I'm not being even ugly when I say it, we feel like we're so far advanced. But I've had engineers come in and they don't know how they do it. And particularly the tech guys, they have to really think, how in the world does this work? Because they're used to, and your generation are used to everything being so electronic, as in computer.
There's no software;
technology.
it's all
There's
hardware.
no software. Yeah, it's in. That's where the word. I'm old. I couldn't think of the word software, but because this is hardware on this one, and but they don't understand exactly how it works. And I'd love to. I kind of know, but I really don't.
Now, was it made in America?
Chicago, Rockford.
God bless America and our ingenuity.
Now, I'm not saying Americans made it. It may have been some German engineer that.
They were here. We get to claim it.
Yeah, we'll say that's right. Yeah, they lived here. Yeah.
Well, we had a good picking session this morning. Let's see, we had Jimmy Crow here today. We had Nancy Aquino here today. We had Joe and Debbie Lee Welchel, and we had Eric Rader and myself. And Bill got to join in a couple times, but he was busy in the store, so he would have to run back in there every time he came out.
All right, so y'all two jammers. Don, what do you play?
I am attempting to play the dobro.
Now, what dobro's like a steel guitar, or a lap guitar?
It's also known as a lap steel guitar. Technical term is resonator guitar.
Gotcha.
It looks like a guitar with a hubcap bolted on the front of it, and inside that metal plate are metal cones, and they kind of work like a megaphone would. It just amplifies the sound, and without amplification, it's all acoustic. But I'm working on it. I've had it a few months, and I've made a little progress, not as much as I would like at this point, but
You're a brave man performing publicly.
we're trying. And we had, as I said, Debbie Lee and Joe Welchel, and stopped by after we had our picking this morning, and they shared some of the music that they love, and actually some they had written, and a lot of history about old-time country music, which actually preceded bluegrass, which all came about from a European to the Appalachian Mountains to the area that we are today, and they kind of really historians on that transition and the influence that it has had on all styles of music that we have today. And we did that interview with them, and hopefully we can get that on as a bonus segment here soon too. And I think folks will really enjoy hearing them.
I imagine that was an interesting conversation.
Yeah, we had a real good session today.
Now, Bill, what do you play? What part do you play in the jam sessions,
Well,
the picking
I'm
parties?
I am the least among the pickers. Now, I'm a musician by profession, but I'm a choral musician and orchestra guy. I'm not much of a picker, but I'm learning to play, and I love it when I play these because they're playing strong enough that I can play wrong notes and it doesn't make any difference, you know. But as long as it's a key of G or something I can use with my capo, I'm fine. If I have to think about other chords, I'm in trouble. But I come out here and pick. But my role is the front end of the store, and so I greet people at the front of the store, share with them, find out about where they're from, and host them, so to speak, and offer them cider as a cider tasting test and tell them a little bit about what's going on in the store. So I'm running back and forth, so I spend more time in there, but I slip out here and sing a little bit.
Well, to give
and
you a
pick a little
pat
bit.
on the back, customer service is a dying art, and you are the Picasso.
Well, I love people, that's all it is. You know.
Well, he sells himself short on the music. He is a phenomenal singer, and he's really the band leader or conductor of the group. So he doesn't get to stay out here long, but he comes out and gets us back on track.
He leaves
sometimes.
the audience wanting more. What kind of songs do you like to sing?
Again, I grew up in, well, not necessarily, I didn't grow up in Southern gospel music. I grew up in gospel music more from the West because I'm a Midwesterner originally. But sacred music's been my field. But absolutely, this sounds almost overkill, but I honestly like all kinds of music, and I know that sounds like a
Cop out.
yeah, but I mean, seriously, it all depends on. It's kind of like what kind of cider do you like? Well, it depends on what I'm eating with it, you know, or what I'm doing with it. But I like the classics. I like classical music. I still do, unapologetically. But I also like I like the contemporary Christian music. I like the great hymns of the faith. I like country music. I went to Statesboro the other day with a friend, and we listened to Willie's Roadhouse all the way down and back, you know, and sang the songs with him. So, you know, we just had a big time. And so I really like I like pop music, the 40s and 50s stuff. Of course, I grew up in the 60s. And
Now, who's considered a pop star in the 40s and 50s? Is Glenn Miller considered pop
well, Glenn
music
Miller,
in that
yeah,
time
that was
period?
popular music, and he came out of World War II, you know, and Joe Stafford, Bing Crosby, Vaughn Monroe,
And obviously the chairman of the board, Mr. Frank
Sinatra came out of it, yeah, you know. So yeah, all those, and the key to me music is if it's got a melodic line that I can remember, that I can somewhat sing along with, and a lyric that you can understand, and like in my business, my main role is contemporary Christian or Christian music in general. I love contemporary music. A lot of people my age say, "Oh, I don't like that." Well, that's because some of the stuff does not have a melodic line. Some of the newer stuff has wonderful melodic lines and great text, and so to throw it all out and say it's not good, that's like saying all rock and roll is not good. That's not true. There's some great rock and roll. Now, some of it had some lewd lyrics, but in the same way with country, you know. I mean. Whenever I'm with a choral group, I always try to say, I want the expertise of Robert Shaw, who used to conduct the Atlanta Symphony. Outstanding choral productions. But I want his expertise with the joy of Sister Vestal, which is one of those gals that sang in the old Southern gospel groups and waving her hanky in the air. So I want that kind of joy with the expertise of the other. And that formula can apply to any style. If you're doing country, I want the expertise. I want it done well, but I want it with great passion and great joy. If you're doing bluegrass, do it well. The reason people don't like certain kind of music is it's not because it's not good music, because they don't do it well. And I look at it's not good and bad. It's like we were talking about the people from other parts of the country, other parts of the world. The Germans that were here today, or the Austrians that speak German. Now, there's nothing wrong with German language, but if you don't know it, you can't speak it. It doesn't communicate to you. But to a German, it's excellent. So it's the same way with music. There's nothing wrong with classical music. There's nothing wrong with country music. But if you don't musically speak that language, it doesn't communicate back to you. So
lost
therefore,
on you.
so it's not a matter of good and bad. It's just a matter, okay, I don't understand that. I don't understand this. That's why I hate those phrases, oh, that's not good. Now, I would say Robert Shaw would put his nose in the air if you said his music wasn't good, and Sister Vesha would slap you upside the head if she said her music wasn't good, you know. So style is, I don't even like the word style. I like it musical languages, you know, and so we have all these rich musical languages, and they're all good, depending if they're done well.
What's it going to take to get you up on stage in a jumpsuit and some fake mutton chops?
Well, ironically,
Well, thank
I've
you
done
very
that. I used to do, and Don's not shocked, but yeah, I used to write a lot of shows, and a lot of usually they were 2-hour productions, and it would be with a Christian theme, but I would go through a lot of different themes to get there. And we did one whole series called Reality Show. And it was in other words, if you can believe this is true, how in the world can you believe that this isn't true? For example, if you can take a reality TV show like the early...
the Real World.
Yeah, whatever. If you can buy that as reality, how can you deny the role of Christ in a person's life? You know that. So you know, if you can buy this, and I did one on reality TV shows, and we did where we had Survivor. I had people out race. What do you call it? Fighting alligators on the platform, and I had people. You know, the one where you William Hung. What was he on?
American Idol.
American Idol. I had American Idol, and but I had American Idol, and then we turned him into Elvis.
Nice.
And so, yes, there I was in my white suit. And,
Now, Don, Bill mentioned he's originally from the Midwest. How did two people from different parts of the country eventually intersect here at the Old Saltese store? How did y'all come together?
Well, I think Bill's been in White County for about 11 years, 10 or 11 years.
Yeah.
And early on, we had a group that gathered for breakfast every morning at the local cafe. And I guess that's where we first met.
Yeah, I'm sure it was, yeah.
And then we just kind of had common interest, and we continued to work on those. And actually, I asked Bill to come up here last spring and shoot a video, an interview of a lady here, local lady from the area, had a lot of history about the store. We were new to the store. We wanted to get that story from her family's viewpoint. And Bill came up and shot a video, and he never left. No, I'm just kidding. He only gets to come a couple days a week. We're just always glad when he's here. But that's how we got together. But in the meantime, we become good friends, and we share a lot of interest other than old things and music. We both like old cars and cars in general, and so we have a lot to talk about when we get together.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, I want to thank y'all for inviting me up on the front porch today. It's been a blast.
We're glad you came. Good to get to know you, man. And we look forward to other days ahead.
Fantastic.
It's the old Saltese store is Old Saltese store, but it's very, very alive and very, very fresh all the time. And our customers keep the energy going all the time. And old people come in here that have been here. Letty was here 63 years ago the first time. She hadn't been back in 63 years. And then we've had people that are introduced to the store for the very first time today. So that makes it fun. It keeps it fresh. Even though we were surrounded by all these ancient artifacts, so to speak.
It's living history because people are
Absolutely.
constantly coming
it's
in and out
alive.
of here.
It's fluid. It's very fluid. And so